Hello, dear friends. Welcome back to the Herocast, the podcast devoted to the ordinary heroes we meet in our ordinary life. And as you see, there are a few changes today. We are outside. The sun is shining in Rome today, so I need to wear this because it's really too much to me. So, why are we here? Because we have been talking about women in safeguarding so far. But we are switching now to a new topic. We will be addressing the interesting topic of safeguarding and multiculturality. But to do this, we have an in-between episode where we'll be addressing an interesting issue, namely the relation between safeguarding and the church, but seen with the eyes of a young European woman from Slovenia who is here with me, Lea Dobrec.
Dobrec, yeah.
Please introduce yourself, Lea.
Hi, I'm Lea. So I come from Slovenia and I study Social Pedagogy at University of Ljubljana. And I'm here for my internship for 6 months trying to learn more about safeguarding.
Okay, let's see whether we can learn something from you,
Okay.
Lea. Let's go to our studio. Come with us. So, Lea, we are now sitting here in our very comfortable studio with our wine, which is one of the most important things to me, as our viewers already know. And as usually in our conversation we have here, we are not alone. I don't know whether you noticed that someone else is here with us.
Yes, welcome.
Yes, because this is a Herocast, so we are talking about ordinary heroes, but we normally take inspiration from heroes from the comics, from the movies, and so on. And today, together with us, there is the Miss Marvel, Captain Marvel. She changes the name over the time. Why did we choose this character? Because it's a very interesting one. We will be talking with you. It's true that we are switching to a new topic, as we said, but we are still focusing on women, and we have the chance to talk with you about young women,
Yes.
young Slovenian women in Italy.
Yeah.
And
specifically.
already in this sentence there are many challenges we can name, and we will do that together. So, but we thought it's interesting because this character, she gets her power through a cosmic accident, as is the case for many heroes. But she gets her power from Captain Marvel, the male one.
Yeah.
So already here we have something, so that a woman can take power only by a man,
Given
from
the
a man.
Yes.
So this perhaps can help us addressing some of the things I would like to talk you with. So as you know, I'm a professor here at the institute. So, but it's really important to me, to us, also to learn from the real experience of the people, because we are talking about safeguarding, so about relations among people. So let Captain Marvel come with us. She is one of the most powerful character in the Marvel universe. But she's not really aware of that. This is another interesting point. So she gets the power from the men. She is one of the most powerful ones. She becomes Captain Marvel, so replacing the male one. And she's not even 100% aware. She does not really recognize her powers. This is very interesting. I think this has much to tell us as women. But I would really like to hear from you, from your very concrete experience, nothing academically, at academic level. It's really, what does it mean? What do you think? What sort of powers do you have as young woman, and what powers are you lacking, or you would like to have and you don't have because you are a woman? It's a bit a provocative question, but I would like to hear from you.
Okay, so I can start maybe more easily to talk about what I'm lacking as a woman than what powers I hold, because what lacks, you feel it mostly. And I feel like as young women, we have a lot of challenges to face. And for example, just the feeling of safety. The feeling of safety. Also here now I'm in a foreign context, a young woman. So there are some things you have to consider for yourself to be safe here. And then also there are so many rules you have to follow as a woman. They're unwritten, of course, but I don't know, it's...
So stop. Rules, unwritten rules.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that it's difficult for you to recognize powers you have as a woman. It's easier for you to recognize that you are lacking something.
Yeah.
And you mentioned briefly also that there is a difference between your experience in your country, which is Slovenia, and being here in Rome as a Slovenian, as foreigner, young woman.
Yeah.
And the main point was this lack of sense of safety, which is interesting to me as a professor who's teaching in the field of safeguarding, which is about of safety or making people feel safe. So we are failing somehow, because it seems from what you say that young women still have to face this lack of safety.
Yeah.
I guess perhaps by walking on the street or being alone in certain context.
You have to think about so many things, like where am I going? How am I going, like alone? Then how am I perceiving myself? How do I dress? What can I say? Like,
okay. And you mentioned unwritten rules you have to follow. So it's as if to promote safety for women, we need to give them rules to limit themselves instead of promoting safety by limiting people. Sounds a bit of a contradiction. What you mentioned some of them. What are these unwritten rules you have to follow?
Like what you say, not to stand out too much, not to be boring. You have to be good, like good in every aspect, but not too good, but because then you might
there are also social expectations.
Yeah,
so there are rules you have to follow, and meanwhile which limit yourself.
Yeah.
And at the same time you are expected to have powers.
But not too much.
Not okay. So it's a difficult. Can you give me an example? Talking about women in general, for instance, in your country, what are women expected to do?
I feel like there is a lot more talk about equality with years. Also, Slovenia is one of the smallest paying gaps in European countries, I would say, which is very good.
In Italy,
like also in comparison to Italy, but then in everyday life and everyday interactions, it's different, and you can sense it. Like, if you can speak up or not, if you are being heard, that is, like, if you're not being heard as
a woman. So you can you give me an example?
Yeah, like expressing yourself. Sometimes I feel like it's not as easy as it should be. Also, if you don't fit in the like in the brackets.
Okay.
Sorry.
So yes, but you are free here to talk. Here is the space where you can say what you think.
Yeah, I'm still, like, it's hard for me to even express that, I think.
Yeah, because we are, this is something that we also teach. There are unwritten rules, social rules and expectations. For instance, in this case, towards women, we are so used to that we don't even recognize them anymore. As our Captain Marvel that is not even aware of what she can do. Somehow we are so used to the fact that the woman has to comply with certain rules, does not have to behave a certain way. It's exposed also to the way men look at her, and so and we are holding responsible for how we dress, or how we expose ourselves to that. So and this is so rooted in our way of thinking that we don't even, it's also even difficult to name that.
Yeah.
So I understand your challenges in this, but you was also saying something interesting that much to do with power, having power, not power. So that we are also expected, because this sounds to me as an Italian issue as well, that we are expected to fulfill incredibly many tasks.
Yeah, many tasks in
For
every
instance,
aspect. I don't know, job-wise, like to be a good employee, to be a good mother, to be a good housekeeper, to have a good appearance, and also to be nice, but not too... It's a lot of things.
Not provocative, so nice, but not too nice, because otherwise we provoke the men reactions. Yeah. So this multitasking, we can say like this in Italy, it's much used, this expression, this multitasking attitude that women are expected to fulfill. So interesting that you as young woman still feel this.
Yes, of course.
And that it's a strange combination, because from one side we are limited in the power we are given, but at the same time we are supposed to make much use of power, because fulfilling all the, believe me, because I'm a teacher, but I'm also a mother. So I do know how difficult it is to combine all those and to fulfill the expectation that the others have, combining also with an aim of being quiet, nice, enough, but not too much, etc., etc.
It's emotionally exhausting just to think about every step you have to take.
Emotionally exhausting. That's interesting expression. Thank you for sharing that. No, I'm touched by the fact that I don't want to tell our viewers your age, but you are in the 20s, so this I can say. So you really belong to another generation than I, and to another country, which is still an European one, but
very close to here, actually.
Close. So I guess there are many similarities, but I guess there are also differences.
Yes, of course.
But to find again issues that I thought were almost over now, and listening to a young woman, a university student, who is still experiencing this contradiction and this difficulty of finding a balance between being free to be proactive in your own life, but at the same time facing several limitations, also institutional. So, but for instance, in Italy, there is a big discussion about how to support women that are also mother and at the same time work. And this is also not only social and relational, but really institutional issue. Are there resources in Slovenia for women who work and have children at the same time? Is there anything set for them?
Well, it's hard for me to say from my own experience, because I don't have children, so it's hard to say. But I think it is hard to, of course, it's hard to balance all these things. Maybe I would say it's a little better than in Italy, but as I can say, I cannot say from my own experience.
So you have the feeling that there is much more openness there than here, perhaps. You can say that. I'm not offended by that. I really face this issue in this country, so don't worry.
But like, we face some different challenges than you. Like, we are more homogeneous country, so then there's more challenges with multiculturality as well. For example,
that's interesting, because we are going in that direction, addressing safeguarding and multiculturality. We will get to safeguarding as such. So you have.
There's also some other issues, I would say.
Like it's more difficult to relate to other cultures. This is what you mean?
Yeah, we're like more closed off, I would say.
Okay, I understand.
And I don't think that's good. I think that has to also change a bit.
Yeah. So now let me be the professor here. And you mentioned several keywords that have to do with safeguarding. So when we talk about safeguarding and the bad word abuse prevention, there is normally, we mentioned this already in other episodes, but it's good to repeat. There is normally there is the idea that working in abuse prevention is something that has to do from one side with rules that institutions have to follow and to fulfill to be safe for minors or vulnerable people or women, whatever. And that is more something like what to do when an abuse happens. So the more we can good react to an abuse, and so taking care of victims and the juridical process, whatever is needed in that awful cases, the more we promote prevention. This is, of course, true from one side. So having in place good policies and rules for managing this, it's fundamental, it's essential, but it's not enough, because safeguarding has to do with, and I go finally to the keywords you mentioned, to this safety feeling. So also that the people feel safe. They have to be safe, but they also need to feel that they are safe. You said that sometimes the life of women, for the expectations that they have from the society, combined with the real possibility they are given, they are emotionally exhausted.
Yeah.
And this emotional level, this emotional condition within the relations, this do have to do with safeguarding, because abuse is not only a sexual abuse. Abuse can also be an emotional, psychological abuse. And when you are put in a condition where you cannot freely express yourself, and you are overwhelmed by expectation you cannot fulfill, and feel the frustration of this can be, as you said, emotionally exhausting, and lead to dynamics and behaviors that can be dangerous, for instance, within the families or within the institutions. When a woman is in burnout because of these reasons, are the institutions ready to take care of her, or does she run the risk of losing the job, for instance? This is a safeguarding question, because it's about awareness of women working in different contexts. So it's and then the other thing that you said that touched me deeply, because it's a very key safeguarding word, it's be heard. So you said that sometimes
women don't feel heard
in what they have to express, and that's interesting, because you know that this is a very big issue for victims of abuse. One of the main thing for them is that, for instance, in the history of the church, with the mistakes made that we have to recognize in the past in dealing with this issue, is that they have not been heard, listened to. And this is a very important point. So you really are giving me many chances to switch to the focus, the central topic of this conversation, which is very important to me as a teacher, because you know, we are a pontifical institution, so we work from within the church, addressing such a delicate topic.
In the church,
in the church, not only in the church, but also in the church. And we know that there is much discussion about that, much has happened, not always good things, etc., etc. That is not the time for discussing in detail this, but I would like to learn more about how the relation between safeguarding churches is what is seen from outside.
Okay.
So the first questions I have to ask you for this is, what's your relation to the church in general? And you are free to say what you think, please.
Yeah. No, it's okay. I did grow up with church, but then with time, as I got older, I didn't feel as connected to it as I did when I was little, and now I really don't feel connected. And I don't know what happened. I feel like I just maybe hasn't had the opportunity to express myself fully, or to be heard maybe as a woman, and also like to maybe be able to talk about topics that were of interest of me or of my generation, and not being judged with that.
Yeah, that's interesting to me, because you are applying to your experience with the church the same words we have been discussing so far.
Like maybe, of course, maybe some people do find that, but I didn't find that community in church.
So you, in your experience, you have found church communities where you again experience this feeling of not being seen as you are in your needs, what you need to be addressed in relation to real life. You don't see.
That's why, like, I just don't feel as connected to it as anymore as I did before. And I feel like a lot of my friends or like people of my generation feel like that.
Is there any conversation among people of your age about the church not another provocative question, the role of women in the church? I don't know whether you ever had the chance to discuss about it, or if there is a general opinion in Slovenia about that.
As I said, some people do find this community nice and helpful, and like they find themselves in that, but not a lot. Like, not, we don't talk about church as such a lot. Like, we do talk about faith, but more about the different topics that are of interest, are in our interest, and that maybe we don't find them in the space of the church.
Which topics are you referring to?
To talk about the different taboos, maybe that there are taboos in church. I don't know, about sexuality, about mental health issues facing, stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Other things specifically related to your generation? I'm curious because I'm not your age, so I don't know.
Also, I don't know, the impact of social media, the pressure. There's a lot of things actually, but yeah, mostly we address those with our friends, with the bubble we make, or yeah.
So you need to create a bubble for you to be able to
address. Like, you cannot address these things out openly, I think.
So it's not only a problem of the church.
No, not only of the church, okay. But also, like, that's what I wanted to say, that I didn't find that in church, so I would feel connected to it.
Yeah. Okay, I understand. No, it's interesting because it shows that I'm not a sociologist, so I don't know, but from what you are saying, I have the impression that there are many issues and topics of big interest for your generation.
Yeah.
You mentioned sexuality. I guess it has also to do with the gender issue, and which is a very big question in our society, and many other things. You have the feeling you cannot freely talk about.
Yeah.
And this need of creating a bubble, you said.
Yeah.
So of creating a certain of
a space,
closed space,
a safe space where you can just have a dialogue about anything, maybe.
Okay. And do you manage among your friends?
Yeah, I can. Okay. I'm happy to say that.
You are lucky.
Yeah.
Yeah, because creating safe space, which is another keyword for safeguarding. It's actually the real objective of of institutions interested in the well-being of people, and the fact that I would be curious to know more how it is in Italy among young people, because it might be the same, might be different, I don't know. This need of creating safe space outside of the institutional places which are supposed to offer them, that you are left on your own somehow. You have to manage. And you mentioned also internet, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, I feel
as a resource in this sense.
I feel like some people find the communities there because they find people that think alike, and they're not feeling judged or anything, so they can just be themselves. Because, and I think that's lacking in everything. Do you feel
judged in the church, for instance?
Like, I'm not feeling a part of it, so maybe I don't feel judged by it. But
would you be afraid to be judged if you go there and address the issue?
I don't think I would address then the issues. Why? If I would be afraid to feel judged.
So you see. Okay, that's interesting, because so there is also an image that you have of the church based on the experience that you have, and that makes you think like this, that you don't expect the church to offer that space, safe space that you would need to be able to express yourself.
Yes, but I wanted to ask you now as an expert, like, what do you think about, like, has anything changed in these past years that you've been working in the field of safeguarding?
So regarding safeguarding specifically, so I must say that first of all, the church is a very complex reality. It's a global one. So we always need to keep in mind that there are many local churches. So there is sometimes a gap between what happened at a more institutional level and what is put in practice in the concrete communities. From what you say, I have the feeling that you have not met communities which are open enough to create for you a space where you feel welcomed and accepted as you are. This is the feeling that I get, but correct me if I'm wrong.
It's okay.
It's true that this might be very different. There might be people who have very different experiences because there are different communities, different parishes, different dioceses, and we cannot give an answer that is a global one.
Okay.
I can say that much has been done in terms of, first of all, there is a talk about this. So this is, and in
it's
safeguarding, this is in general. The fact, for instance, going back to the topic of women, which is much more addressed now than in the past. So giving power to women, these women that need to get power from a man. So we have to stay here waiting for the man recognizing our powers or our freedom or whatever. Now this is addressed, and this is already a first step. And also in the church, regarding abuse in general, there is much more talk about that, which led to some results, especially in terms of rules that have been adjusted. I don't want to bore you, but also regarding the canon law, Pope Francis promulgated a motu proprio, so-called Vos Exis Lux Mundi, which add important element to the process, at least at this canonical level. But this reflects also a more deepened reflection about the issue and a more a bigger, a higher awareness about the need of intervening. Also in the formation of the priests, they have now, according to the Ratio Fundamentalis, they have now to be given formation for child protection. Much more attention is given to sexual and affectivity education, which has been lacking for a long time in the church, but not only in the church. I can tell you something about that, about Italy. So things are moving. Also regarding women, we have now also women who have leading position in the church, like comes into my mind Sister Brambilla, who is leading the prefect of the Dicastery for Consecrated Life. So just to give an example, so there are movements, changes. In the problem is that when we talk about safeguarding, as you mentioned, without noticing that, it has much to do with our relations rooted in a certain context and in a certain cultures, where there are categories, like for instance the easy one that you mentioned, that the woman has to fulfill certain tasks the best way possible, no matter at what emotional cost this has to be reached. So being a good mother, being a good wife, having a good career, looking nice at the same time, so having even time for taking care of herself, which is, believe me, impossible. So of course this has to do with rules until a certain point, because it has to do with our mentalities and with the way we develop our own relations within whatever context. It's true also for the church. So assisted to what we do is promoting formation in this field, namely in this direction. So not being satisfied of having just rules, but also also being open to the change of mentality that is needed for having a real impact in the context we act and so on.
So you're saying that it's been some changes, like some changes have been made, but still there are some challenges to...
Yeah, of course. Yeah. And help from people like you with your own experience. And I would like to conclude with this, with a positive attitude, because it's always important to keep this positive side. So there's something we can do. There are not only things that we cannot do, or we do not have to do, or we must not do. There are also things we can do, and so we have the responsibility of doing. So, for instance, what for you as young woman, university students in Slovenia, now having an experience in Rome, what would make church more attractive to you? What could a church community in your country do to be more attractive to you?
Maybe talk about the topics that are relevant to us, creating space for us to be able to express ourselves and not to limit our identities. As I said before, like being a woman is so hard. You have to think about so many rules and everything. Concretely, it's hard for me to say actually, but just give the feeling of acceptance and not judging, and
so giving space for free expression of topics which have been taboos until now, giving the people the sense of safety and of being welcomed in that space, not to feel judged.
I feel like accept diversity is important.
Accepting diversity. Okay, and this I think is a very good conclusion for us who are now moving to talk about safeguarding and multiculturality. So diversity is important. So accepting diversity. And we will explore what this means for safeguarding. Thank you for your contribution, Lea. Thank you for being with us. We usually conclude with cheers.
Cheers.
And greeting our viewers. See you soon.